It was just a few weeks ago that President Joe Biden was telling you this.
Are you 100% undoubtedly running for re-election?
1,000%.
Why?
I got to finish the job.
So what changed? What made Joe Biden finally realise that his cognitive decline is a serious issue? Did he come to that conclusion himself? Was it his power-hungry wife Jill or troubled son Hunter? Or was it a handful of Democrats who, after years of protecting him and lying to the American people, decided it was time to push him out?
Well, what happened was a number of my Democratic colleagues in the House and Senate thought that I was going to hurt them in the races. And I was concerned if I stayed in the race, that would be the topic. You'd be interviewing me about why did Nancy Pelosi say, why did so, and I thought it'd be a real distraction.
There you go. But even though the Democrats have now been able to select who is running for president instead of the voters, they'll tell you that democracy is under threat.
I knew then. I knew I had to do something. And that's why I decided to run, because democracy was literally at stake.
And what does Joe Biden have to say now? Will he be out supporting Kamala Harris?
Yes, he will. I talk to her frequently, and by the way, I've known her running mate is a great guy. As we say, if we grew up in the same neighborhood, we'd have been friends. He's my kind of guy. He's real, he's smart. I've known him for several decades. I think it's a hell of a team.
He talks to her frequently. Seeing as she is the vice president, you would hope so. And as for his comments about Tim Walz, we would have been friends if we were in the same neighborhood. Sounds pretty scripted. And I didn't actually hear what makes him suitable for the job. Now, finally, the big question, how can we trust Joe Biden to keep running the country for the next 5 months with the cost of living through the roof, an immigration problem that is out of control, and with 2 wars raging in the world? Joe Biden's answer to this is to sit back and watch.
To those who have expressed skepticism about how much you'll be on the trail or about the rest of your term, raise questions about your health, what do you say to them?
All I can say is watch, that's all.
Watch. Oh, and if it turns out, with the benefit of hindsight, that he probably should have stepped down, then who cares? It is not funny anymore, and the mainstream media is choosing to ignore this so they can focus on propping up Kamala Harris.
You could just sense the power in the hall, and it was the power of joy, the power of laughter, the power of hope for the future.
I don't know where it came from and where it's been. 4 weeks ago even, but we saw leadership last night.
I've seen this in the Democratic Party since 2008 when Barack Obama was the candidate.
The excitement was at a level that has just been, quite frankly, basically since President Obama was running for re-election.
It goes back to Obama levels of excitement.
But as time goes on and Kamala Harris straight up refuses to give interviews, slowly but surely, people are catching on that her campaign is running on vibes and emotion with barely any substance.
Kamala Harris's campaign seems premised on this latter intuition-based approach. Ever since she became the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party, Harris has run a remarkably focused and disciplined campaign, one that seems deliberately light on substance and high on feelings. You don't see the dozens of policy papers that were a hallmark of Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign. Harris has not yet given extensive interviews or done press conferences, which would force her to detail her positions on specific issues.
And we have an election to win.
Instead, she has introduced herself to the American people in entirely human terms, presenting herself as a dynamic, warm, funny, and optimistic person.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
It's heavy on vibes, and so far, it seems to be working.
New polling shows Kamala Harris has pulled ahead in critical swing states, including Pennsylvania. Sky News Washington correspondent Annalise Nielsen is on the ground.
A little rain won't stop these Lehigh Valley locals enjoying a movie at their local drive-in on a Thursday night. The major parties hope they're just as intrepid when it comes to casting their ballots this November.
It would be wonderful to have a female president, our first female president. I think she's very talented, very capable. So I'm excited about the ticket and her choice of vice president.
Of course, not everyone is so certain 3 months out. What do you think of Donald Trump?
He's okay, but I'm not a big fan. My wife's not a big fan of him either.
Pennsylvania voters are some of the most important in the country this year. The state boasts 19 electoral college votes. Pennsylvania delivered Biden the presidency in 2020, but could easily swing back to Trump this time around. One demographic that could turn the state is the Jewish vote. There are around 300,000 voting-age Jewish people in Pennsylvania. Biden only won by just over 80,000 votes.
How are you voting this election?
For Donald Trump,
Why Donald Trump?
because I think he's the man to do the job. I just wish he would keep his mouth shut a little more.
Many live here in the Democrat stronghold of Philadelphia. At this Jewish deli, the Democrats' approach to Israel and the Middle East is front of mind.
There's too many people that do not understand what the war in Israel is all about. The fact that anti-Semitism is on the campuses, I feel, I am totally perplexed why they don't understand the Holocaust and they don't understand the persecution.
The worst thing the United States has done since World War II, as far as I'm concerned, is the Iran deal. What a dumb deal. And they won't admit it, the Democrats.
But for some in the Jewish community, their concerns lie closer to home.
I think up until recently, I was as much voting against somebody than I was really like, yeah, this is going to be a great future where I have so much more optimism.
Further north in Northampton County, the suburban to rural enclave boasts a rare electoral record. People here voted for Barack Obama in 2012, Donald Trump in 2016, and back to Joe Biden in 2020. It's called a Boomerang County and could provide important insight into where this election is heading.
Do you always vote Democrat?
Actually, for 2020, I went and I re-registered as an independent. I've been a Democrat since I was 21, so I'm a liberal Democrat, and I'm worried about our country, and she is, and that gives me a lot of hope, and I hope it brings a lot of hope to everybody else. I like her running mate, and the other side, okay.
One of the main issues polling has shown voters here care about is cost of living. That's what we find in the small town of Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Travis Ressler helps out with his family's market on the main street. He says cost of living is a common conversation around town.
Personally, I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but I am registered as a Republican. But with that being said, I hope whoever wins the election, most likely it is going to be Trump. I'm fully believe he's going to win the election. But I just hope that everything that he does is for the betterment of everybody in the country.
Kamala Harris's ascent to the top of the Democrat ticket has undoubtedly helped boost enthusiasm among Democrat voters. But whether she can weather another 3 months on the campaign trail and still have those key voters here in Pennsylvania excited to cast their ballot for the Democrats remains to be seen. So Kamala's got your vote?
Yeah, I'm going to try for her, so.
Few states will matter as much as Pennsylvania this election, and most voters here are still distracted with the last weeks of summer. But as autumn sets in, the Rust Belt voters know they're some of the most powerful voices in America, and they'll be watching this election closely.
The female for president, I love that idea. I just agree more with what Trump is bringing to the table than what she is.
Annalise Nielsen, Sky News in Pennsylvania.